Call this meeting to order. Welcome to the River City Arts monthly meeting. Wonderful June 6th. I suppose we could start off with everybody making some introductions.
I'm Hank, K6, HUH.
Sylvia, Kilo Sierra 6, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Rick, K0764089.
Bob, KF6 ABC.
Neil, KL7 Hotel Queen Radio.
John, WA6 Whiskey Sierra Tango.
Jen, Kilo India 1, Tango Tango Yankee.
Mike, K6 DRY.
Wilson, November 6th, Echo Mike Foxtrot.
Arthur, KD6 GBY.
Bob, N6 PGQ.
Darius, KN6 KDT.
Marie Weil of WB6 YLK.
I'm Dave, WB6YLK. Ken, Kilo Echo 6, Romeo Michael November.
Mike, K7 GFN, and online people as well to introduce. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Steve, Whiskey 6 Victor Delta Papa.
And
Hi, I'm James, Whiskey Alpha Zero Hotel Yankee Sierra. Got licensed back in 1963.
okay, and we have a few people online. If
Alphabetical, Gert?
oh, we can just start with Gary. People on unmute, please. Okay. Okay. Hey, Tom, let's start with you. You're not muted.
As you can see, it says Tom Cutter, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. I got licensed in 2016. So I'm newer.
Oh, Kevin. Yeah, I know. You can't do a blanket unmute, can you? Would the people online please unmute so we can, in fact, hear you, please?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. If you would give your name and call, please. Mike?
Hi.
Name and call, please. Mike?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble hearing it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble hearing it. This is my KN6YCN. This is my KN6YCN.
Hello, good evening.
KK6DCT.
Hello, good evening.
KK6DCT.
This is Jojo, KN6HTD. This is Jojo, KN6HTD.
Why do I get it? Why do I get it?
This is Mike, KN6JGY, remote from Cameron Park.
Good evening, it's Carl, N6CKV from Moulton.
We hear from Gary? Gary, would you like to introduce yourself?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Gary. Kilo Golf 6, Sierra Mike X-ray.
Thank you. Is that everyone? Did we hear from Carl?
Hello,
Yeah.
Carl, November 6th, Charlie Kilo Victor in Wilton. Good evening, everyone. License 1980.
I think that's everyone. Except,
Okay, I'm off camera. This is Carol, Kilo Papa for Mike Delta. There I am. I'm on camera now. I've been licensed since 1970, and besides being the vice president of the club here, I'm also the webmaster and ARRL Sacramento Valley section manager. Thank you.
Good evening. This is James, AE6JG. I'm a board member for River City ARCS and the ARRL affiliated club coordinator.
and last but not least, I'm Gert, Kilo 6, Zulu Golf Alpha, club secretary and hostess for this wonderful event. Anyway, so we need to get on with the program. I think Carol would have a web report. And I believe Jojo, if you're available, could you do the treasurer's report, please?
Oh, yes. Can somebody allow screen sharing, please? Thank you. Okay, good evening. I hope you can hear me and you can see the screen share. My name is Jojo. I'm the club treasurer and membership chair, also the ARRL assistant section manager and training officer. I am presenting the membership status of our club. As you can see on the screen, we have a screenshot of the latest current members listing. And this includes the life and complementary members, as well as the paid members for 2023. We have a total of 141 strong members, with 87 belonging to ARRL, and that is 68% of our total membership. If you don't see your call sign here, kindly double check with me. It only means the renewal hasn't been paid yet. But thank you for everyone who has renewed their membership. We move along. The membership database is currently being transitioned to Ham Club Online, and it's good for 365 days. So your payment date will also be your anniversary renewal date. Ham Club Online costs $1 per member per year, and we will take care of that next year. We're not doing away with paper checks because people still write checks. I can accommodate those, but don't be surprised if you get email from Ham Club Online. It will send you renewal information closer to your anniversary date. We move on to the financial report. Thank you to our evergreen donors, David, KM6GYM, and Lawrence, KC6DRH, as well as Sylvia, KS6WTF. It's the reason why our funds keep growing, because they cover a lot of donations on a regular basis, monthly basis, in fact. And they receive automatic free membership for as long as the Evergreen Donor Program is running, and some perks at the end of the year. They have received caps, the LED plaque, and many others to come. Here's a snapshot of our bank account. We have 9,795.62. The recent transactions are the club liability insurance of 300. And that gives us coverage to our field day site coming on June 24 and 25. We deposited $379, and that came from the sale of our ham equipment, which were donated from the property of Paul Gross, I believe. And another 200, which Gert handed over to me from the sale of another equipment. We have a pending credit of 113.70, and that's from the most recent membership renewal, including evergreen donation. So in a few days, the funds will become 9,909.32. We have a healthy budget, which means we should make healthy projects. And I put in a line here, my recommendation or suggestion, or I guess my final treasurer's project is to reapply or bring back our nonprofit 5013C status. This way we can issue tax write-offs and donors can be more generous to us. We can do better projects in effect. Unless you have questions for me, that would be all. And thank you very much. 73, this is Jojo, N6HTD.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jojo. Now we can have the web report. Jojo, would you stop the share, please?
Okay, hi. This is Carol, Kilo Pop for Mike Delta, and this is the web resource report for the past month, which is May 2023. Okay. Just a reminder, our web page is n6na.org, and let's see if I can fix this here. We just got too many. There, that's better. Yeah, this month the topic is primarily going to be the ARRL Field Day preparation. June 24th and 25th is going to be our field day at the Dry Creek Ranch in Rio Linda on 6852 Dry Creek Road. And today we're going to talk about preparation for that. And it's our major operating event of the year. So it's going to be all day Saturday, and Sunday is the wrap up, and anybody can come out. This is open to the general public. Anybody can get an opportunity to talk on the radio, whether you have a license or not, because we'll have control operators on site. So we need people to help set up on Saturday morning. The activity actually starts at 11 a.m. And it goes through the night until 11 a.m. on Sunday. And we feed you there. It's pretty much like a social gathering as well, outing. So come and join the fun. Again, on the website, there's a field day page. For those interested in joining us, we would like you to go on the webpage and sign up there so we know to expect you. We know how many people to expect. And also, if you're interested in bringing your equipment, there's a place for you to sign up and let us know what gear you're going to bring. If you are going to bring any gear, you should have it clearly labeled with your call sign so we know who it belongs to. Again, a shout out to the web design team, all listed here. And a reminder that our nets are Wednesday. So tomorrow night, we'll have our 2-meter net on 145.25 at 8 p.m. That's accessible also by Echolink and All-Star. And at 8:30, we have the 10-meter net on 28.420 megahertz upper sideband. Everyone is welcome to check in there. Our slow scan TV net is 9 p.m. It's on a 441.30 repeater, and it's also streamed on our YouTube channel, and the link for that is on our website. Reminder, the roundtable net, 7181 kilohertz lower sideband, and that's Saturdays at 3 p.m. And that's a very relaxed, laid back, just chat net for people to check in and have a good time. It's been very popular. Website activity for May. We've had a total of 1,126 page views during the month of May. Peak web page views were on 88, then it was on May 10th. The most visited web page, of course, was the homepage with 520 views. The All-Star page had 61 views. The magnetic loop antenna page was 43. Repeater page is 34. And now the field day page is starting to get more activity. We had 27 views during the month of May. Most of the views come from Google, referred 51.6%, and 35.4% were direct to our URL, n6na.org. Interesting, we even got a slice of the pie here from N6ICW. There must be a link on that website that goes to ours, which is really nice. Top visits by region. California had the lion's share, 753. 44 came from Washington, 28 from Arizona, and numbers from all other states and these countries that you see in blue here on the map. We had visitors to our website. On the social media, our YouTube channel increased its number of subscribers to 407. We had 445 views during the month of May. We have 51 more followers on our Facebook page, and 754 total. Twitter page has 149 followers, and actually that dropped by 1. I guess Twitter is having some issues with politics and all that, so people are getting away from that. Discord, we have 32 members in our Discord chat. And again, reminder, contact at n6na.org is how you can contact us by email. If you want to contact anybody on the board of directors or among the officers, you can send it there and it will be channeled to the appropriate person. So that's our report for the month of May. And thank you.
Okay, and then we just have some little trivial things, the small bits and pieces for the rest of the business. If you noticed when you walked in that there's a stash of boxes across the back, they are cables and bits and pieces that are remnants from Lorna Payne, who donated them for our use. And she has her husband died 5 years ago, I believe. There was some equipment online that sold, and she thought that we could use up whatever remnants, cables and so on. Anyway, dig through and enjoy. Also, Mike, if you would come up.
Hello again. My name is Mike Reed, R-E-I-D. I'm K6DRY, and I'm here to give something away. That's why I'm here quickly. Some months ago, I ordered an OptiBeam from Germany, and it arrived. It's a 12-element beam on 5 bands, 20 through 10, and it will load up on 6, although it's not advertised to do so. When the beam was shipped to me from DX Engineering, it came in a large square box with all the parts and so on to assemble the antenna, the hardware, and the mounting plates for the elements and for the mounting plate to the boom. Mounting plate to the mast. And a very long box containing all of the elements and the boom, which is in 3 pieces. Now that box was damaged, and then one of the pieces of the boom was bent out of shape. But the rest of it was all intact and perfect. Well, I built the beam from all the stuff from the first shipment, and DX Engineering sent me a new long box, including the whole antenna. All I needed was the long section of the boom. So I have this box, which is about 9 feet long and probably about 60 or 70 pounds, containing most of an OptiBeam 12-5. And I want to give it away, and if I can't, DX Engineering will not take it back because of their insurance regulations apparently, which sounds silly to me. In any event, it's a nearly complete beam. You probably can bargain with the owner of the company in Germany. He's a very, very erudite individual. We had a lot of emails with him as I build it, and see if you can get the box of hardware plus the one section of boom that's bent, unless you have access to an enormous press. So I'm offering it. If anybody wants it, you can contact me by QRZ. I'm on this K6DRY. Otherwise, in a month or so, I'm just going to, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Throw it out.
The next meeting's a month from now, and you can bring it with you.
Oh, yeah, who's going to take it away, though?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So the primary focus of this month's meeting is to discuss getting ready for field day. And I do believe Jennifer was going to help out with that. So if you would come up and give people some good ideas about how to help you get the job done, please. Price we pay for being doers.
All right. So first time round at field day. So I need some folks that are educated in the field day process and that would like to volunteer for that day. So looking at the information that Carol has given me and somebody else who shot me some information, it would be great to have 10 people sort of around that day, and hopefully folks in pairs, one to log and one to transmit. And also we need somebody to help with setup and breakdown. And according to Bob, PGQ, is that right? Yeah, N6 PGQ. There's quite a bit that needs to be worked on in terms of getting the beam antenna set up. So I don't know exactly what gear we have. So it'd be nice to have somebody who knows what all the gear is, go through it with me. And then anybody who wants to sign up, help me out on the 3 days that we're there. That'd be great. Find a partner so that you have a team. I will for sure myself have an easy up, a couple of tables, at least 2 radios and a couple of antennas, and probably some really good snacks. And then Carol probably can help here too on other things that we need that day. But I hope if you just shoot me an email and tell me, yes, I'll volunteer for X number of hours on this day, and I've got a partner who will help. Mostly the setup and breakdown will be the biggest thing. Yes, you can tell me now.
Well, Jen, I can say that the club has a trailer with some tables and a tower, which we've been using was used originally for a light tower. It's a military tower. We've used those the last couple of years to put up an antenna, and the club has a hex beam. And I don't know if Phil has given his filters, but in theory, we can run filters to separate the bands and use the antenna for things like 10 meters, 15, 20, which is generally used for field day. And then for the longer antennas for 40 and 80 meters, we'll run wires of some sort. And that's what we've done in the past. If Phil has provided that filter, we can give it another try this year. I know that 10 meters and 15 meters were interacting when we were transmitting. So a different attempt might happen in getting it separated to try and use the antenna for 3 people at once. So it was an interesting idea. We could probably do it better this year. One day we'll get it right.
Yeah, perhaps we can practice that on Friday before we actually invite the public in, because this is a public day. So it's not about us contesting. It's about engaging with the public.
Yeah, in the past, we've set it up on a Friday and then it's just ready to go on Monday. I mean, on Saturday rather.
Okay, great. Beautiful downtown Wilton, Bob. Dave, sorry, Dave in beautiful downtown Wilton. Hold, please. Oh, Sylvia.
Phil gave me the triplexer and there are filters for each of the bands in the trailer. The triplexer, he said he redid that and it's quite a bit of separation on all the bands now. So it should be good to go. But the triplexer's in there, he gave me another piece for the tower that fits the hex beam. The hex beam is in there. There's one radio in the trailer, at least one radio. I think there possibly is a second one. There's tables. There's no chairs, but there are 3 tables that I've got. They're my tables, but I store them in the trailer and use them for field days. So I can't think of anything else right now that I can add, but I know the triplexer is in there. The club computer is in there for logging. And a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I do remember at the board meeting, one of our discussions was that if you were coming, it wouldn't hurt if you brought a box fan because there's a paucity of trees. So it's whatever shade you can create and whatever wind you can produce. So. PDQ. Yeah.
It's okay, Bob can go first. He's going to talk about something he and I were talking.
Okay, I just talked to Jason Lager and he believes he will be available Friday. And the hoist that they have is diesel powered and it has not run in 2 years. So he can't guarantee it will run, but he says he will go by and see if it can be made operable, which would make it a lot easier because we could tie the antenna to the hoist instead of having to put up a mast. He just got out of the hospital, so hopefully he will be there. I'm going to pick up, I'm sorry I missed some of this. I was out talking to Jason. I'll pick up the trailer from Dave and park it on my driveway and be there whenever setup is going to be, either Friday or Saturday morning. You know, I'll put the things I'm bringing on the list, but I'm going to bring the same stuff I bring every year, which is a radio and solar panels and spare antennas and things like that. If the club antennas don't work out, we can always put up some portables and things like that. So I will be there.
I will wrangle food. Yeah, I won't get as much variety as I did last year, because most of that we ended up giving away. The other thing is setting up, who's gonna set up the network for the logging? Is Kevin, are you gonna be at home or are you gonna be at field day this year?
I wasn't planning to attend. No, I was just curious what you guys are up to this year.
So you might want to, you could always talk to Tom.
Yeah, so, yeah. If there are instructions on how to set up the network, I can practice that the week before and make sure that I've got it up and running.
All right, and maybe you and Tom can talk.
Well,
Yes, right there. Tom.
I can talk a little bit. We used a hotspot to connect all the computers together, and it allowed us also to relay some of our logging to another website that people can follow along and see what we're up to. So I'll bring our hotspot that we've brought the last couple of years. And we'll need people to bring a Windows computer, and we'll try and install, if it isn't already installed, N3FJP is the logging software we've used in the past. We have a club version of that. So you can download the software on your own. To register, you don't really need to. You can actually use the club's N6NA call sign, which is already registered, and will be operating as the club N6NA as the group. And depending on how many radios are going to operate at once, we'll throw in a number when we send our exchanges, like 1, 2, 3, or 4. And on the type of operation we are, we've in the past used battery. So I think the best we've come up with in the past was 4 alpha, which was 4 battery powered. And solar power works really good during the daytime. I think you really have to reduce your power to keep running all night if anybody would like to operate all night, because your battery is draining, not charging. Flashlights just won't keep it running unless you have a really bright flashlight to cheat. It is. We had Sylvia and I in the early days of the club. We actually went to this site. It is usually it's no shade, so you've got to bring your own shade boards. But we can spread out some more, and the club has a few runs of coaxial cable. But if you have long runs of coaxial cable that you can bring, maybe disassembling your own site to do it, we could use it. We can spread the antennas out more, and we can then less interfere with each other.
Okay, thanks very much, Tom. So I think I have some core group here that will be very helpful, but anybody additional who wants to sign up, it'd be great to have you out there, even for a couple hours. Yeah. All right.
For the folks online, who's planning on coming in person?
Well, I will be going, Tom Cutter, Whiskey 6 Browser. Sylvia will also be there. So we'll probably arrive at different times. Sylvia's usually buys food and then she gets there probably around 11. But I'll be there to make sure everything's functioning. Usually the last thing we have is set up the radios for the day. The big antennas are already set up and getting the network running. We might be working up till 11 o'clock to get started on time, but we'll see.
I think that's going to depend on whether Jen decides to set up on Friday afternoon or Saturday morning.
My preference is Friday afternoon to get the setup and testing done so that we can hit the ground running on Saturday if folks are available. So I'm going to leave this in the back for people to sign your name on it to say your time frame for me. So and your phone number and email, that'd be great. So I can get back to you. How long does it take to set up, Bob? All right, so what's a good time? I was thinking somewhere around 3:30. Oh, sorry. Bob says, Bob and yeah, they indicate that it takes a couple of hours to set up if it's good. Yeah, 3 hours. So we have daylight until late, but is 3, 4 good for you guys? Bob? Sure, let's do 3. That gives us time to set up. Do we have security for that? So that once we set up, things are covered, or do I get to stay overnight for the whole weekend?
We were able to leave the antennas set up and left them alone, and they stayed there. I don't know that we had anybody guard them. When the radios show up and the computers show up, I think we'll have somebody around for the day.
About the trailer. I'm always worried about trailers being stolen.
Well, the trailer we can lock.
Okay. All right, so 3 o'clock Friday. Set up. But I'd like to get into the trailer prior to that and make sure that we have all the parts that we need. And I'll probably need Bob to go with me. Yes, you. It'll be yours, so we can go through the trailer and make sure we have all the gear sometime next weekend. Next week, next weekend? Okay, so that Tuesday, Bob will pick up the trailer and I will go to Bob's and we will go through the trailer to make sure that we have all the things that we need. And if we don't, then I will be able to have your emails and phone numbers to go through you guys to find out if there's anything else that you might be able to provide that we're missing. Does that sound good?
Sounds
Alrighty.
workable.
Sounds workable. So while I'm up here, do you want me to give you a quick update on the Girl Scout project?
Yes.
All right, so yesterday we had a meeting with ARRL and we met our technical advisor for ARRL, David Jordan. He's an incredibly nice person. He answered all our questions that we had at that moment with George, Noemi, and Neil, and myself. Who else was there? I think that was it. And so we have a basic overview of location. We only need one location. I was under the misconception that we had to have two different locations, but the primary and the secondary stations will be virtually on the same table if needed. And George has got a lot of the equipment that we can use. We've narrowed down pretty much the transceivers, the preamps, the antennas, etc. But we're getting that confirmed from David. And next week on Monday, we'll find out for sure if our equipment list is looking good. If it is, then I will put in our equipment plan. And tomorrow I'm going to the location, Girl Scout location, to make sure that we have line of sight across horizon and that it meets our guidelines for the location for being able to have short runs, be able to put a couple antennas on the roof and a few other things. It's a flat top roof, and I think that's going to be a huge advantage in my mind because it'll be easy to place antennas on the roof and not permanently if we're not allowed to do it permanently, as in put some bolts in. Once we review the location tomorrow, we'll final up the location plan, and then I'm hoping I can get together with Carol over here and final the streaming plan. All of our plans, I am hoping will be in before field day. They're supposed to be in by the end of the month, but if we're in before field day, that gives us wiggle room if there's something not quite right. So that's where we're at right now. If we pass this next portion, which is the 3 plans that we have to hand in by the end of the month, then we have the green light to really get rolling. And that's on the education, on the building. George wants to take the equipment that we already have, build it on his property, practice there, and then go from there. And then we start engaging the Girl Scouts. So that's the report now. Looks looking good. Doesn't look like we have to buy a lot of equipment, but there is going to be some equipment that we will have to buy, like the preamps. So that's it for the Girl Scouts. Any questions?
One thing that maybe was made public, you mentioned that we were the only West Coast site selected for this group.
Really? Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it's rolling along really nicely. And oh, there was one other thing. ARRL offered up one person to go to educational training. It's on field day weekend. And I'm like, Amanda, you're the one that should be going anyway, because you're going to be doing the instruction plan with the girls and laying it out with us. So you should be the one that goes to do that. So she'll be going out the weekend of field day and getting trained back east for the ARRL educational side of it. And then we'll get trained by the trainer. So that's it.
Carol has some things that she wanted to talk about. I believe that Carol's up next.
Yeah, this is Carol, KP Firm D. One of the issues that's really been on everybody's mind is the problem that we have with jammers on repeaters. And I have some information to share if anybody's interested. Yes, definitely we have some responsive people that are interested. Another thing is I am running again for section manager, elections for section manager for Sacramento Valley are coming up this year. And here in the room at the back, there is a sign-up list if you're interested in nominating, adding your name to the nominations to nominate me. You have to be a ARRL member in good standing to be able to do that. But if you want to add your name, I would appreciate you go ahead and sign on there. So I'm going to share the screen here. Let me bring this slideshow up. Okay. And I have to go back to the Zoom meeting and then share screen. There. Are we all seeing the slideshow? It should say dealing with intentional repeater interference.
It's good.
That's good. Okay. The information I'm going to be sharing here is it's an ongoing project. We have a conversation going on among the section managers here in the Pacific Division, that including here the Sacramento Valley, San Francisco, Santa Clara Valley, San Joaquin Valley, East Bay, as well as the Kristen McIntyre, who is the Pacific Division Director of ARRL. And we've contacted as well the administrator of the ARRL Volunteer Monitor Program, which is taking over what function of the official observer program was. But this is actually more official because it's a liaison with the FCC and participating in the enforcement, monitoring and gathering the information, the evidence, and then passing it on to the FCC for enforcement. We've also got the ARRL legal team involved, and a number of attorneys in the area that are getting involved in this. This is a very serious problem that that's been getting worse in the past few months. We've been getting a lot of complaints, not only here in Sacramento area, but also in the Bay Area. And it's not only our area here. This is a nationwide problem. And we're going to go a little bit into how we should deal with this when you see this. It's actually affected our repeater somewhat. It's affecting more a repeater that's over in Mount Diablo. I think people know which repeater that is, but it has been affecting a number of other repeaters, especially repeaters with ARRS nets, emergency preparedness nets, which is really very distressing to see that happening when people are just trying to practice and get ready for emergency preparedness, and then we're having these bad actors that are just trying to disrupt that all. So like I say, this is this does not substitute for the advice of an attorney, and it doesn't really represent the policy of the ARRL or any organizations. It's an ongoing discussion, and we're actually working towards getting this as an educational program to empower repeater owners and leadership in the amateur radio community to better deal with the problem of intentional interference. It's really a challenge. Sometimes it can be very emotionally difficult when you're hearing this sort of thing going on, but everybody has to stay on board. You have to remain calm and be patient, because this is not something that's going to be remedied overnight. The most important thing is do not attempt to engage a jammer. If you hear a jammer in there, do not acknowledge them. Do not complain about them. Do not even acknowledge they're there, because what they're wanting to do is they have a beef with the repeater owner or a club or another ham, or they do this destructive behavior just to get attention. You need to deny them that attention, and it needs a lot of self-control to be able to do that. I understand. If anything else, go to another frequency if possible, or just change the frequency so that it doesn't upset you, because it could be very emotionally taxing. I understand. Don't tell them to stop, or don't threaten them, or even acknowledge that the interference is occurring. As I said before, you can continue talking if they're really not interfering with you. If you can talk over them and just continue your QSO, that's perfectly fine. But if not possible, just sign off as if you'd naturally finished and just go radio silent until they leave. And they'll get the message that you're not responding to them. Okay, we have a question there. If you can pass a microphone so the others online can hear the question to Steve there. Okay, case W6 VDP. Okay. We're trying to turn the microphone on.
Testing. There we go. Okay, I'm net control over on K6IS, and I do Skywarn and some simplex nets. And when we've encountered him and he was disrupting my nets, I just shut down the repeater and I give him no access to it. I know that sort of interrupts what we were doing, but rather than allow him the stage, I just shut down the repeater and then turn it back on later. So that's what I've been doing.
That's a completely appropriate thing to do. And I was actually going to get into that here in this presentation. Thank you so much. Again, even if the jamming is not going on and you're talking with other people, do not discuss the jammer on the air, because it's possible they're listening and it's just going to encourage them more if they hear us dedicating time to discussing them on the air. And especially, you don't want to talk about any of the remedies that you're taking to try to resolve the jamming while the jammer is present, because you really don't want to do that. Understand that one ham losing control and engaging with the jammer or acknowledging the interference, even in passing, is enough to undo the efforts of everyone else. It's just going to encourage the continued jamming. Who can remedy this problem? This is the status of this problem. It's not only in our area and not just these repeaters here. There are 22,000 repeaters in the United States, all of which are put up absolutely voluntarily. And there's only 190 volunteer monitors around the United States. If the users of the repeater who live and work in the area of the repeater coverage and use it every day cannot easily direction find the interference, these few volunteer monitors surely cannot. It's up to the repeater user group to find them. They are on the repeater on a daily basis and know the area best. Okay, what the repeater owner should do, just as Steve was saying, if the jamming is on a repeater channel, as most are, the majority responsibility for dealing with it falls to the repeater owner and the control operators. Repeater owners have the right and responsibility to control the use of their repeater and set rules for its use. This includes the right to forbid the use of the repeater by anyone who violates those rules or anyone who facilitates or encourages others to violate the rules. The repeater owner has the ability, or should have the ability, to constantly monitor the repeater, and if all else fails, shut it down in instances of abuse. Running a repeater is not much different than allowing access to your home base station by anyone who wants to use it. So it's the repeater licensee's responsibility to maintain it in accordance with the rules. Volunteer monitors simply cannot do that for them in either the case of a base station or a repeater. An astonishing number of repeaters are left on all the time with no control operators, and too many operators throw up a repeater and expect the government to babysit it for them when idiots get on it. So control operators can and should immediately disable the repeater when any illegal activity occurs, and keep it disabled until attempts at illegal activity end. They can monitor the repeater's input frequency for this. So even though you may hear a repeater that's just streaming this abusive language all the time, this is not your responsibility. This is the repeater owner's responsibility. And if they're not doing it, it's their problem. And one way that we can try to motivate repeater owners to be more responsible is to report this activity to the volunteer monitor system. What we're recommending is that people make recordings as evidence of what's going on with the date and the frequency was on, and submit it to the volunteer monitor and system. And there's a website on the ARRL website for volunteer monitor program, and it has a email for you to submit those. And those are acted upon, and we get responses from the administrator of the volunteer monitor program. And the more we do that, the more pressure we can put on the repeater owners to be more responsible that way. Okay, but that information, the evidence that you're gathering is also going to be very valuable if we have to go with further steps. This talks about a repeater linking. Of course, this just magnifies the problem. If you have a bunch of repeaters linked together, it's just opening more and more access points for bad actors to get into the system and cause grief. The WIN system is one like that. I don't know if any of you ever listened to the WIN system, but if you get on there, it links like literally hundreds of repeaters together. And there's not a day that goes by that you won't hear somebody that has a recording with obscenities that just pop up. And there's no way to stop this sort of thing. The volunteer monitor program. This is an informal agreement between the ARRL and the FCC. According to the ARRL website, volunteers trained and vetted by the ARRL monitor the airwaves and collect evidence that can be used to both correct misconduct or recognize exemplary on-air operation. In cases of flagrant violations, they refer to the FCC by ARRL for action in accordance with FCC guidelines. However, this does not mean the ARRL can pull out their radio direction finding gear and track down the miscreant on your behalf. As stated above, the primary responsibility for dealing with this situation falls with the repeater owner. Also, once the ARRL has received evidence, whether via volunteer monitors or repeater owner, its authority is limited only to reporting the violations to the FCC. The FCC can determine whether to take enforcement action at the federal level, but as we have found, the local action is actually what's being recommended by the FCC, and it gets quicker successful results. So are there any more questions about this? We're actually thinking of preparing this as a forum for the Pacificon Convention, because we really need to enable the repeater owners, because a lot of people are just feeling helpless. They're just saying, oh, just call the FCC and it'll be taken care of. And no, there's particular steps that need to be followed in order to help to keep this in control. It's not going to be a one-time fix. It's an ongoing issue, because we have a system that's just open to the public. And just like any part of society, we have our share of people just decide to want to act in an antisocial way.
So does anybody else have business that they or ideas they want to share with the club? You have more to say? Oh, I opened the door.
Hello. Okay. So I have a question. Does our club have a inventory of everything we own? And we know where it's at? And do we audit it yearly? Do you think maybe we should? Well, we don't know what we have for field day right now, so without talking to a bunch of folks, I just did an audit over at North Hills. That's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah, the club provides some things, but actually to make it happen, people are going to have to contribute bringing a radio, and actually bringing a radio and setting up for the first time is actually, I think I'd rather have that than to hook up a club radio or a club computer, just giving you a feel for how to set up for any location if you're out on a picnic table or you're up on the top of a mountain. So the stuff that the club has is in a trailer, and it's going to be organized. I guess Bob and Jen are going to go have a look at it and see what's in there. I know there's some Christmas stuff in there, and we can clean some of that out if we need the room, and organize what under all that stack is a bunch of coax cables. So finding where things are again in the trailer and organizing it. I think that was something we wanted to do in the past. And if it's happening this time, that'll help a lot in getting it going. But as for an inventory, that's what we're asking for people to do online on the website. If you're going to bring stuff, tell what you're bringing. You're going to bring a table, chairs, radios, plates, dessert, you know, things like that. You know, we would like to know. And it is a what you call a buffet of food and a buffet of equipment. So we'll see how that works. Usually, we've never had it so organized to say that we've had a full inventory and it was ready to go. It's definitely impromptu. And I think some comments in the past was, if this was a real emergency event, what would you do to set up a radio? Well, you wouldn't probably be ready. Maybe you had a go box and you'd do it. But once you do it a couple times, you'll be ready to do it. So I wish we were more organized like you were describing, but we can get there.
Yeah, I am not saying that the way you would like to see it happen, because that's good, because everybody's getting involved. But I just wondering about the accountability of the club assets. That's all.
The club stuff has the names N6NA on it, so they're labeled. And again, Carol or Jen mentioned that we'd like to get your equipment labeled. If you do not clean up, we can definitely pick up your equipment and get it back to you as long as we know it's yours. So there's always handy talkies that end up and we go, well, I don't know whose that is. So some people leave things, and getting it back to them if they're labeled, it'll make it all the easier.
And I'll bring my labeler so that if there's something that hasn't been labeled, we can label it.
Yeah, what I was speaking of is Jen, she's brand new to this. And she doesn't know what she has to do so that she has what she needs to make this successful. And if she had a piece of paper that had all this listed, then she'd know what else she'd need to come up with to make it work. That's all I'm asking.
But I'll do that in the process of what we already have. And I'll also write instructions as I can so that we have a complete book on how to set up your field day.
When I first got the trailer, I did make an inventory of everything that was put in there. It's an older list. It hasn't been updated with everything that's been put in, and it's gone through a couple field days. So there's stuff that has moved in and out of there. But I do have a somewhat up-to-date list of what's in the trailer.
We could, this is James, I'm off camera. And I don't know if Jojo's listening, but Ham Club Online also has an inventory feature, which is one of the reasons we went to it. So gradually we can take the list as they get updated and put them there.
The coffee pots and the host of stuff that we had will be in the trailer this time too.
Okay. Well, in that case, I think we've pretty well nailed down the major elements of being ready for field day. Where am I? There am I. Anyway, okay. I think we've pretty much covered the notion of needing to be ready for field day and everybody's opportunity to take responsibility for their participation, and how to handle people who don't have good manners on air, and so on and so forth, and availing yourself of whatever material back there suits you, making sure you've signed in. So it's nice to know you've been here. And I guess we can wrap it up then. Okay. Thank you, everybody.